Network. This is SportsLine.
All right, good evening, Nashville. Welcome to SportsLine. It's the Wednesday extravaganza. John Burton with you for the next hour. And if I sound a little excited, I am, because football season starts this weekend. The college football season gets going. We've got one more preseason game for the Titans tomorrow night against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But this weekend, we actually have football games that count. It actually started last weekend when we had scores like UMass beating Duquesne 63-13. But now we've got actual big-time college football starting all weekend, all through the Labor Day weekend. And so we are going to preview the 2018 college football season this hour here on SportsLine. Your phone calls are welcome, and I'm not alone. I have a special guest with me in studio, Bob Belvin from ESPN3, ESPN Clarksville. He's a color analyst for ESPN3. This guy knows college football. He covers the OVC. He knows a lot about the SEC, the Big 10, Big 12, all over this great land of ours. Bob, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Did you watch the New Mexico State-Wyoming game?
No, I skipped that one.
Okay,
I was a little busy.
You were on the East Coast games.
Yeah,
I want to make sure we had that right.
Okay. Well, listen, it is so exciting to have college football back, isn't it? I know it's a big part of what you do every fall, calling games, traveling all over the country, covering the OVC, hosting your show at ESPN Clarksville. How excited are you to have college football back?
Well, one of the problems I have is I have to wait a couple more weeks until my broadcast responsibilities begin, but overall that allows me to be a fan for the first couple weeks of the season, continue to research, to pick up all the data that you can and be ready. But I like let the games begin. There's so much. It was kind of a quiet off season, and then all of a sudden some scandal broke up north of here a couple of weeks ago,
I heard about
and it's really
that.
just kind of made it to the point where
Columbus, Ohio, I believe, was the,
allegedly, allegedly. So we have to bring it to a point where it's like, let's play the game. And that's where we are right now. And a lot of the area teams are in action. And we were just commenting to you about how difficult Saturday will be for you from a coverage standpoint. A lot happening within 3 or 4 miles of here.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, though. This is one of the days that I look forward to. And we were also talking before we went on the air, you know, most folks know I'm a Yankee, right? I grew up in upstate New York, and I've always appreciated college football. I watched it as a kid. You know, I grew up watching guys like Mike Rozier, Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, all the great teams and players from like the 80s and into the early 90s. But for me, college football Saturday was just something fun to do and something fun to watch until I watched the pros on Sunday. You know, I grew up a Giants fan and, watched all the NFL games. It wasn't until I moved here 6 years ago where I really got an appreciation for college football, because I understand now why it is religion here in the Southeast.
Yeah, it is, and it's very important at a lot of different levels, and especially in this city and in this region here in Middle Tennessee, John, because you have NAIA, you have FBS, and you have FCS, and they're all seem to be very much in a geographic tract right here. That's what makes it fun. So you can see, particularly on a game in situations like we got Saturday where some of those games are staggered, you can really spend all day watching it, and I encourage everyone to do just that.
And I understand, like, people, I work on Saturdays, which is great because I get to watch all the games and cover all the action. But I know people that drop anchor at 11 a.m. and they go straight through until that last Pac-12 game ends on the West Coast at like 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
It is, and it happens to be that way. And then these days of DVRs and the ability just to capture it, I find myself just watching them on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, maybe even back from the previous Saturday, just to kind of catch up and watch it, just from a pure fan standpoint. Sometimes it's prep, but for the most part, I'm just a big fan of it.
The Ohio State situation notwithstanding, Bob, where would you gauge the health and popularity of college football? Not just here in the Southeast. We know it's big here, but all over the country. I think it's really starting to gain on the National Football League for number of reasons.
Well, it is, and obviously there's enough controversy surrounding the NFL to talk about. That could be 4 programs here. On News Channel 5+. But yeah, I think the health of it is very strong, and it's very important to kind of watch those attendance numbers as we go along, and continue to have the kind of rivalries that we're going to have in this town. Saturday night, the John Merritt Classic, that still has a tremendous brand name to it with Bethune-Cookman and Tennessee State. The fact that Middle Tennessee and Vandy are still playing each other, although they're in clearly different conferences. Those types of matchups are important. I would even add to that, Tennessee Tech is going to Tennessee Chattanooga, UTC on tomorrow night, actually. Those kind of regional matchups, particularly when they happen schedule-wise in the first of the year, kind of get you going. I think the health of football here in Middle Tennessee, college football, is outstanding, and I think nationwide as well. That Pac-10's getting a little bit better.
Sure.
Too. That has a big influence to it, too, because that keeps us watching it late at night on Saturday nights, and that's kind of a barometer of it.
And when you look at the Big Ten, it looks like they've kind of taken a page out of the SEC's book, because they have like these iconic coaches, guys like James Franklin and Urban Meyer, who will be back, and Mark D'Antonio, and all these coaches that have these personalities, much like what we see in the SEC.
Yeah, it is, and the SEC with a number of new coaches this season as well, and we could talk about that for quite a while as well. A lot of changes there, more changes in the SEC than ever before, but those are still the iconic names, or they have ties from other programs. Maybe even that's their alma mater that they're coaching at. The Big Ten, I mean, Harbaugh coming into that conference, and he's, statistics we can argue all evening long about the success there, but just his presence alone, that personality, that kind of upped the ante, as you mentioned, with the coaches that are in the Big Ten.
Exactly. When you have Ohio State and Urban Meyer and Michigan and Jim Harbaugh clashing every year, that makes for compelling television and compelling storylines in all of college football. All right, your specialty obviously is the Ohio Valley Conference. You do games for ESPN3 for that conference. Let's talk about that a little bit. I want to start with Austin Peay, a team that really turned things around under Will Healy. Now they open at Georgia, or against Georgia this weekend, so a tall order, but just talk about the job that Will Healy's done with the Govs. Yeah,
and I have to admit, I know Will personally, and I'm a Clarksville resident. It's been really exciting to see what he has accomplished there. And John, he just accomplished something that no one really kind of wanted that job. Ryan Ivey went out and got Will Healy, and the energy is just infectious, and you try to say, okay, this is a one season thing, but that energy level from game one to the end of the first season, when they didn't win a game, it was still there. And then he made some key recruiting gets here in the mid-state.
Getting Oatsville was huge.
It was huge, but also, and you want to keep your eye on Austin Peay for this, John. They have two proven quarterbacks, Javon Craig and Jeremiah Oatsville, in the conference. Nobody else in the conference has it. We've got indications that some of these teams are still determining their starting quarterback. So Will has done that, but it just takes a couple of key recruits at that FCS level, and then you can really get it going. And then he got the community going. I mean, he has been to every Rubber Chicken Civic Club meeting to include my club as well. I had him a couple of weeks ago at the high school kickoff luncheon in Clarksville. He comes in, and Johnny said one of the really key things. He came in, 9 coaches there, 9 area coaches. He goes, guys, I am so excited to be here, but this is your day. Come and see us play football. And he walked off the podium. That's all he had to do, because he was star enough. He had connections enough in that room, and he acknowledged that it's important to be able to have relationships with those high school coaches in that area. That was crucial. He's done a fantastic job, and I think even better things are ahead for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you could imagine a team that didn't win a game 2 years ago. Last year they have a great season, a winning season. This year picked to finish second in the OVC, right behind Jacksonville State. All right, what about Tennessee State? I know Rod Reed very well. We've had him on the show a lot. He's one of my guys. He has yet to pick a quarterback, and you know that Rod will pick a quarterback when he's good and ready. Nobody's going to tell him what to do or when to do it. But with Tennessee State, they're going to be good in the trenches. Offensive, defensive lines. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to play good defense.
Yeah, you talk about that. Kadeem Edwards may very well make the Dallas Cowboys from the offensive line there. And Rod may make changes at quarterback in the game, too, as well. It's not necessarily leading up to it. It could be at that point in time. That has always been a problem for them to get. They've never had a recruit in terms of being there 4 years. I can't recall one. It's been a transfer. The Tremont Harris bit didn't work out. They moved him to wide receiver now. So there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle there, but I like Coach Reed's philosophy about it. It's like, hey, we're going to roll it out, we're going to do it. I know that I've got some pieces here. If he ever solves a quarterback problem and can recruit one that will be there 4 seasons, I think that would be a big plus for them. Nonetheless, they're going to be in the mix. year in and year out, I think Tennessee State's one of the most unpredictable football teams.
You just don't know what you're going to get.
Don't know.
And Rod has told me that. And here,
frustrates him a bit, doesn't it? Yeah. You just don't know with Tennessee State. And hey, when you prep for a ball game, you're like, you have to go deep into the depth charts on your Tuesday afternoon call. Coach, what about? Well, and that's kind of, and that's not a lack of preparation on Rod's part. It's just a matter of just kind of a lot of pieces there, and it takes a while to kind of get it together. I think they can be a contender toward the top of the conference too.
How about Tennessee Tech? What do you see from the Golden Eagles this year?
Dwayne Alexander coming back home. I don't know what happened with the Satterfield experiment over 2 seasons. Frankly, John, it just didn't work out. And Mark Wilson, the athletic director there, made a change. Dwayne, I've been noticing him as well. We talked about Will going to all the Civic Club meetings. I think Dwayne Alexander has not paid for a meal in 2 weeks. He's been to every meeting in Cookeville you could ever imagine when it comes down to it. He's at Rotary, he's at Kiwanis, he's at Chamber. He's been to all of them, but they're working it. They're working it real well. He thinks he's got a very young quarterback there, and I think that could be the difference. They're clearly in a rebuilding year. No question about that. And that was another team, really, John. It was just hard to figure out last season under Marcus Satterfield. In fact, the first season that Marcus was there as well. Got Dantes Bird, the wide receiver, who's now gone and in an NFL camp. Quarterback has always been a problem for him, but again, Coach Alexander thinks he's got one there. We'll see defensively. Statistically, defensively, one of the really neat anomalies in this league last year was Murray State and Tennessee Tech were two of the better defensive teams, statistically speaking, yet they had some of the poorer winning percentages in the conference and finished in the bottom half. So it's kind of a mystery there. To that point, Tennessee Tech's got a lot returning on defense that they're pretty confident about.
Well, we look forward to seeing and hearing you call OVC games throughout the fall. We're definitely looking forward to that. And we're looking forward to the rest of this hour because we're going to break everything down with college football with Bob Belvin. We're going to talk next about the Tennessee Volunteers, new head coach Jeremy Pruitt. He hasn't picked a quarterback yet that we know of. If anything changes in the hour, we'll let you know. But we'll get a preview of the Vols. We'll talk Vandy. We'll talk Middle Tennessee State. We'll talk all of college football as we get ready for the big weekend, the first weekend, Labor Day weekend. Happy Labor Day, everybody. And your phone calls are welcome as well. Again, you're probably going to get a lot of people just calling up saying Roll Tide and hanging up, but that's okay. You're welcome to call.
We've heard that slogan before. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, once or twice. Okay. More with Bob Belvin talking college football next on SportsLine. Stay with us.